As far as celebrating goes, the 4th of July was all about fireworks, and Juneteenth for me has always been about family and community, right? Um, because the 4th of July wasn't ours. I think about Frederick Douglass asking that room full of white folks, what to
What
the
does it
American
mean?
slave is your 4th of
Exactly.
July?
Exactly.
Um, and so I've always thought of Juneteenth as the original for us, by us holiday. And then listening to you in your introduction, the idea that when it becomes a national holiday, now it's called the National Independence Day. I'm like, we can't have nothing. They always take our stuff. Like white people and corporations always want to take our stuff. We know it's good. Uh, and so I'm a celebrate, but I'm probably not going to go to the festivals because they've been corporatized so much. And there's white folks selling cupcakes at the Juneteenth festival. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm used to um, brothers on African drums, folks over here playing dominoes and cards and backgammon, kids playing together. It, like we have a Black Joy parade in Oakland now. Like that was the original Black Joy
Yeah.
festival. We always had these events where the entire Black community would come together and just be happy. And so that's my celebration of Juneteenth. I can't do the corporatized version.
And so this year, I'm I have both. I have a little bit of ambivalence about this this streamlining this broad spectrum of celebration. It seems to me that there's now, almost, I don't know. It's a little shallow. I guess I'm just going to say it to my brothers here. It feels a little shallow to someone who has gone through what we went through. Even the criticisms that we would receive from other states who considered our celebration to be, you all are backward, you didn't know, and you didn't know for a very long time, and that kind of, stigma, right? But yet there were some big and mighty celebrations. And as I recall, being a child coming up in that time, that was the day of the year that all of the towns seemed to have, not just our town, but the neighboring towns too, seemed to have a sense of accomplishment, a sense of achievement, a sense of pride in the elders of the African American community. So, I mean, I'm wanting us to have that, but it has kind of been diluted, I guess I'll say. I'm glad to hear and see that it's recognized that many of us did not know for quite some time. And it was to the advantage of certain people to keep that information from us. How about that? Yeah. So
Well, that's what
let's talk.
that's I acknowledge that watching how highly commercialized Juneteenth has become has made me somewhat cynical about not the idea,
Right.
not the reality that occurred, but what it has become has, as you said, diluted its significance. So I quite concur with you.
It feels strange that it's a federal holiday in a country that still does not treat Black folks equitably. Almost seemed like it was when you look at the time when it became recognized. We were in the midst of protesting for more stricter police reform and police accountability and things like that. Instead, we get the holiday that you all have recognized and have been celebrating for generations. Now we'll celebrate it too. Yay, everybody. And we're like, we didn't need that from you, right? That's not what we're asking for. And so for me, I sit with that tension of now loving this holiday and loving my people with the recognition that the United States is usurping as it does, right? And trying to turn it into perhaps something that may be unrecognizable for for generations to come. And it's going to be even more upon us in this generation and my generation to stand in the gap and maintain these true traditions and make sure that that authentic history is celebrated and not over commercialized, right? With Juneteenth Target sales and things like that, right? Because that's what becomes at jeopardy. And as we see now, what's happening in the schooling systems in Florida and the South and Other places, there's no shame in changing a narrative of history. There's no shame, and so we have to stand in honor and reverence of our ancestors and our communities that have been celebrating Juneteenth for centuries, right? To make sure that it doesn't become diluted, as you're saying, Dr. Cummings and Pastor Joy. So that's what it means for me to celebrate Juneteenth. It means to stand in that tension and yet still declare that I am, because my community is, right? The concept of Ubuntu, because my ancestors were, right? And live in that.